In today's Warzone 2 video, we're taking a look at the top 5 meta ARs. These are going to be the best ARs in the game for you guys to use, so I highly suggest you try these out. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe with notifications turned on, and let's hop into this. All right, so the first one we're going to take a look at here today is going to be the ISO Hemlock. This is a top meta AR, probably the best one in the entire game right now, and I got a great setup for you guys to be able to run on this thing that's going to allow you to dominate here on, of course, Al Mazrah and on Ashika Island. I myself am a Ashika Island player pretty much exclusively, so this is going to work out great for that, but also we can alter it a little bit for Al Mazrah. So let's hop into it. So here's my general base overview of these attachments. Now let's actually hop into everything. So first thing we got on here is a Harbinger D20. So this is going to be a great suppressor to kind of really round this gun out in terms of its damage range, its recoil smoothness, all the good stuff. We really like this. The tune on this thing here is going to be a plus 0.99 to plus 0.65. After that, we're gonna go down here to the underbarrel section, throw in the F-Tac Gripper 56. This is a tried and true, underbarrel to be able to run on a variety of different guns. It works out incredibly well, so I highly suggest you guys actually try this out. The tune on this thing is a negative 0.57 and a plus 0.27. At that, gotta go up in here to the barrel section for that Fielder T50. So the Fielder T50 is gonna be a necessary thing to run on this gun, just to really make sure this gun is super effective at those longer ranges, and it's got great recoil control, so we definitely have to run that. After that, we're gonna go down here. We have to throw on a magazine, and the only option we really have in here is, because it's got the base 30, is to throw on the 45 round mag. So we have to throw on the 45. That's kind of the only option we really got. I prefer it to be a 50 or a 60, but 45 is still more than enough here for the ISO Hemlock. It's not like it's a super fast fire rate gun like the Fennec 45 or something like that, so that's okay. And for a final attachment, which you guys can swap out for something else, we have the Cronin Mini Pro. So because I don't believe you really need something like the AMOP V4, which is going to be my other recommendation, you guys would probably run this on Al Mazrah, and you can even still do this on Ashika Island. But for my preference right now, I've been running a lot of just red dot sights, as I feel like that's more than enough for Ashika Island and the engagements and the distances I'm kind of participating in those engagements in. So I'm going to say that you guys 100% should be running the Cronin Mini Pro if you're going to be playing on Ashika Island as opposed to Al Mazrah. But you can switch over to the AMOP V4 if you're going over to the big map. But this is my full builds here, number 1 meta AR in the entirety of Warzone. Our next up, we're taking a look here at a gun that I think is kind of slipping into the meta because it's got a very high damage output, and of course everyone likes to use its big brother in this game, the RPK, but this is the Cast-Off 7.62. so this thing is an incredibly hard-hitting assault rifle. It's not like zero recoil, but you guys can really take advantage of this gun and how hard it actually hits in this game. So let's actually hop into it. So first thing in here, we're gonna be hopping into my general overview of these attachments. You guys can see what I'm running, but let's get into it. So first thing on here is going to be the ZLR Talon 5. So this is going to really help us out, that sound suppression, full velocity, of course, that damage range, recoil smoothness, all really good things we need to be able to stabilize the gun out and make it effective. So I recommend you guys run this. The tune on this thing here is going to be a plus 0.99 and negative 0.32. After that, we got to go down here to the Commando foregrip. This is not a foregrip. I generally speaking run a lot. I did a little bit of research trying to figure out what would be the best thing to run. In the Commando foregrip, seeing it kind of come out on top here, and this is just a really solid option to be able to run on this gun in particular. I would normally say for a lot of other guns, the F-Tac Gripper, but for this gun, the Commando foregrip works out great. The tune on this thing here is going to be a plus 0.62 and a plus 0.13. After that, got to go down here to the magazine. Got to throw on the 40 round mag. I mean, we really only have the option of the 20 and the 40, so that's kind of like the only downside to this gun really here, besides of not being like super no recoil, is the fact that it's only got a 40 round mag instead of like a 50 or a 60, or in the case of the RPK, like 75 plus. After that, we're going to go in here to the rear grip for the true tack grip for that sprint to fire speed, aim down sight speed. This is one of those guns that you're going to be using at that mediumish range, not like long range, because of its recoil pattern and everything like that. So this is going to be probably more of an Ashika based build just because of that. So the true tack works out great. The tune on this thing here is a negative 0.55 and a plus 0.22. And then after that, for a final option, once again, the Cronin Mini Pro. Definitely recommend you guys run this instead of something like the AIM Op or just really any other optic in general. I really don't think this is going to be super effective outside of a red dot range. So I'd say that this is going to be kind of like your option and which you guys should actually be using. So that's my full build there for the Cast-Off 7.62. Now moving on to an assault rifle that's actually better in terms of its recoil, capabilities. That's going to be the TAC 56. So this is a top tier assault rifle. Between this, the ISO Hemlock, those are probably like your top 2 in Warzone right now. So I'd recommend for you guys to use, well, pretty much any of these that I'm giving you in the video, just because they're all actually really solid. But between the ISO Hemlock and the TAC 56, they're probably the best 2 in the game at the moment. So let's actually hop into it. So this is going to be a really solid aggressive build you guys can enjoy. So here's my general kind of overview. Now let's get into it. So first thing, Harbinger D20, kind of like we ran on the ISO Hemlock. I'm not going to explain this one too much. You guys kind of understand what it does: damage range, recoil smoothness, all the good stuff. This is pretty much trying to make this thing a bit of a better gun. The tune on this is going to be a plus 90, plus 65. That's that. We're gonna go up in here to the barrel section. We're gonna run the 17.5 Tundra Pro barrel, just because this can increase that damage range. Hip fire accuracy is always kind of like a minor plus, but the bullet velocity is also another big plus. We got to make sure our shots register pretty quickly in this game. You can really tell when a gun has very little bullet velocity, and this is one of those guns where you can for sure tell it does, especially when you're trying to, you know, pick people out of the sky, something like that. You really need that bullet velocity. The tune on this thing is plus 0.39 and negative 0.10. Now let's actually go down here to the F-Jack Ripper 56 as our tried and true underbarrel that we always like to run. This thing works out beautifully. It's just such a good underbarrel. The tune on this is gonna be plus 0.54 and a plus 17. And now let's actually get up in here to the laser. So we're gonna throw in the FSS OLE. So this, between this and the 7MW laser, they basically do the same thing, but they have like just different names essentially. So they're always great no matter what gun you can put them on. If you're trying to look for something or a way to be able to add a laser or something else on, if you don't run an optic, for instance, then I would highly recommend you guys run the FSS OLE or a 7MW laser. The tune on this thing is going to be a negative 0.15 and negative 11.52. And for our last attachment down here, we're going to throw in the 60 round mag. So this is kind of up in the air between the 40 and the 60. It's up to you guys. I personally think that as this being kind of like my primary AR that I'm going to be using on Ashika Island, that I kind of want to have more rounds in the magazine, primarily just because you're playing quads or trios. There's not really solos kind of available. So if it was solos, I'd say probably a 40 round mag would do you fine, but 60 rounds is definitely gonna be the way to go. And if you guys also want to switch out the FSS OLE for something, I recommend just going into the optic section and throwing on like the Corona Mini Pro or even the AMOP V4 would work out great. All you have to do is just swap out the FSS and tune this here for a little bit of that ADS speed and put it all the way to far distance. It's pretty simple. Now hopping into one of my guns that I think is personally like really fun to use, but it's not like 100%, you know, top tier meta, is the M4. So this thing's actually really solid, and I have a great build for it, just because you're gonna be able to run around super aggressive with this thing. And that's what I like, is, you know, I like having aggressive guns because the sprint to fire in this game is terrible. So we got to have some aggressive guns and some aggressive setups that actually have good recoil control. So here's my general overview of this on this gun. So we have, you know, like I said, a pretty aggressive one here, but let's get into it. So first thing, F-Tac Castle Comm. So this can help us out that vertical and horizontal recoil control. That's pretty huge in this game, considering the M4 or just a lot of guns in general do like to bounce around. So we're going to really control that here with this. It's going to be hugely beneficial. The tune on this thing here is going to be a negative 0.52 and a plus 0.29. After that, we're gonna go down here and we're gonna run the FSS Shark Fin 90. So this can help us out with that aiming idle stability, and it's not gonna give us any cons, which is pretty sick. So we don't have to worry about slowing down our aim down sight speed, anything else like that. Like I said, this is going to be a pretty aggressive build. The tune on this thing here is going to be a negative 0.52 and a plus 0.30. After that, we're going to go up in here to the barrel section for the high tower 20 barrel. So I did make a video where I actually kind of converted the M4 into the XM4. Now it's actually using like the 14 carbine shroud barrel. But if you're trying to make an actual meta build, like a meta build for this gun, you have to be running the high tower 20. That's the way you make this thing the most effective it can be. I'm sorry, the carbine shroud is not the best barrel in the game. I saw some people talking about that. It's definitely not. So actually, we're on the high tower 20. The two on this thing here is going to be a plus 0.16 and negative 0.25. And then let's actually get into our other attachment, which is once again going to be the FSS OLE laser, ADS speed, aiming stability, sprint to fire. The only con is people can see it while you're ADSing, which I don't really care. I'm going to be taking people out too fast for them to really even notice anyways, so it doesn't really bother me. And I'd much prefer to have all those pros and deal with that con, because it doesn't really matter to me. The tune on this thing here is going to be a negative 0.18 and then a negative 31.26. Now for our final attachment, we're going to go through on the 45 round mag. Once again, like the TAC 56, between the 45 and the 60, it's up to you. But generally speaking, because I'm trying to be a little bit more aggressive with this thing, I'm going to be running the 45 just so I kind of like have less movement speed penalties between my sprint to fire, reload quickness, aim down sight speed, movement speed. You just get more of those penalties with a 60 round mag. So we're going for the 45. And this will be an absolute banger of a setup for you guys to enjoy and just rush around super aggressive with here in Warzone. So for our final gun here today, we're going to be taking a look at the Chimera. So this is one of those assault rifles you don't really run as a primary AR. You kind of run this either as sniper support, or you convert this to a very close range like Honey Badger style build. But we're gonna give you guys more of the sniper support build. That way you can still have, you know, good utilization of it at those medium-ish ranges, whereas the close range build would be literally only for close range and only effective right there. But let's hop into it. So this is gonna be my general attachment overview on this thing. Now let's actually hop into all the breakdowns. So the first thing, the SA Leveler 55, this is gonna help us out that vertical horizontal recoil control. One of the two, basically. It's gonna level it out, and of course you can't for whatever reason see it still. I like it if they'd actually update it so that we don't have this sort of glitch in the game. But anyways, they still haven't. Well, that's fun. But anyways, the SA leveler 55 is actually really solid, and I'd recommend for you guys to run that. The tune on this thing here is gonna be a plus 0.59 and plus 0.18. That's that. We're gonna go up in here to the barrel section, run the 10 SA Phoenix. So this is gonna make us more effective with those medium-ish ranges, damage range, bullet velocity, of course, you know, hip fire accuracy when you get into those close quarter situations, and recoil control never hurts. So we definitely have to run this thing on there. The tune on this is gonna be a plus 0.42 and a plus 0.23. And then now we're gonna go up in here to the laser section, and this is what I was talking about between the FSSO Elite and the VLK Laser 7MW. So this, like, between either of these two, you really can't go wrong. They do the same thing, just a different name, and this is going to be a great attachment to run on a sniper support gun. The tune on this is going to be a negative 0.39 and a negative 26.32. And then for our other attachment, when you go down here, run the 45 round mag. So this comes with 30 rounds stock, and you guys 110% need to run the 45 round mag. That's kind of a non-negotiable on this thing. You need to have more than 30 rounds in the magazine. And then for our final attachment, we have the Cronin Mini Pro. So the Cronin Mini Pro is just, like I said, just the tried and true red dot sight that you guys need to be able to run on a variety of different guns. I don't believe the AIM-OP B4 is always necessary. If you're trying to go for, like, let's say, you know, Almaz or the bigger map, then of course the AIM-OP could be a little bit better. But otherwise, you're playing in Sheikah Island, which I assume a lot of you guys out there that are watching this video are, just run the Cronin Mini Pro and kind of called it in, especially just because this is a sniper support gun. You're going to be using this in close range. It just makes sense. The tune on this is going to be negative 1.84, and then all the way max out for that far distance. So that's been my top 5. You guys enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, notifications turned on, check out these other videos here on screen, and just remember, triple cap, don't be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.